Why reading is so important in learning English. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Everyday English, and I'm thrilled to have you here. If you're new, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel, so you never miss a chance to boost your English skills. Today, we're going to dive into one of the most powerful tools you have in your language learning arsenal, reading. You might have heard many times that speaking and listening are critical skills, but today I want to show you that reading is equally, and perhaps even more, essential for mastering English. In this episode, we'll break down why reading is so important for learning English, discuss the incredible benefits it offers, share practical tips for choosing the right reading materials, and explore strategies to overcome common challenges. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's get started on how reading can transform your English learning journey. 1. Reading boosts your vocabulary. Organically, one of the biggest advantages of reading in English is that it introduces you to new words naturally and all within context. Instead of memorizing long lists of vocabulary in isolation, when you read, you encounter words used in complete sentences, dialogue, and narratives. This not only helps you learn their definitions, but also how they're applied in everyday conversation. For instance, when you read a sentence like, "She navigated the busy streets with an air of confidence," you're not just learning the word, navigate. You're also learning how it fits into a sentence, what prepositions often accompany it, and even some synonyms or related expressions. Over time, this forms a mental library of words and phrases that you can effortlessly bring into your own speech and writing. Plus, you'll start noticing synonyms and related terms that enrich your vocabulary further. It's like your brain builds layers of understanding every time you pick up a book, article, or blog post in English. Natural grammar acquisition through exposure. We all know that grammar can feel like a chore when studied in the abstract. But here's the magic of reading. When you see well-formed sentences in books, articles, and stories, your brain starts absorbing the correct grammar patterns instinctively. Rather than laboriously memorizing rules, you learn the language's structure by example. Imagine reading a dialogue in a novel where the characters switch between tenses naturally. Your brain isn't stopping to analyze each sentence. It's simply recognizing the flow and structure. This intuitive grasp of grammar is how native speakers learn as well. With regular exposure, you begin to understand correct word order, the use of prepositions, articles, and verb tenses without even thinking about it. It becomes part of your internal rhythm. Enhanced comprehension. Skills reading trains your brain to process information in English, even if you don't understand every single word at first. It's not just about word recognition. Reading helps you understand ideas, emotions, and opinions conveyed through the text. When you read, you learn to pick up on context clues, tone, and the overall message. Sometimes you might encounter an unfamiliar word, but by looking at the surrounding sentences or the overall theme, you can infer its meaning. This skill is incredibly beneficial because it mirrors how we understand spoken language in conversation, by grasping the gist even when some details are missed. Moreover, developing this ability not only improves your reading comprehension, but also helps you become a better listener and speaker. The more you practice understanding complex texts, the better your brain gets at processing spoken English quickly and accurately. Improvement in writing and speaking. Believe it or not, reading extensively does wonders for both your writing and speaking skills. When you read, you see countless examples of how ideas are connected, how paragraphs are structured, and how conversations flow naturally. This is a free, comprehensive English lesson that you can't get from isolated grammar exercises or vocabulary drills. For writing, regular reading exposes you to different styles, tones, and structures, giving you a feel for what makes an effective piece of writing. When you're writing an email, a story, or even a social media post, you'll start to incorporate those natural structures into your own work. For speaking, reading dialogues, narratives, and everyday conversations enhances your ability to form sentences fluidly. By reading aloud, you not only practice pronunciation, but also internalize the rhythm and flow of spoken English. This makes your speech sound more natural and confident, reducing the need to mentally translate from your native language. Gateway to English-speaking cultures. Reading is a fantastic window into the cultures of English-speaking countries. Through literature, articles, and stories, you get a glimpse into the traditions, customs, and daily lives of people around the world. This cultural insight enriches your understanding of the language. When you read a novel, you're not just learning English. You're discovering how ideas, humor, and values are expressed in different contexts. Whether it's the casual banter found in modern American novels or the refined style of British literature, reading broadens your perspective and makes the language more relatable. Understanding cultural nuances can be incredibly helpful in conversations. It allows you to connect with native speakers on topics beyond superficial small talk, making your interactions more authentic and meaningful. Creating a mental library of expressions. One of the most practical benefits of reading is the development of a mental bank of words and expressions. Every time you read, you store phrases that you can later recall during conversations. This not only helps boost your fluency, but it also makes your language usage feel more natural. For example, by reading casual blogs or dialogue-rich texts, you learn expressions such as, "How's it going?" or "What's up?" in context. These aren't just isolated words. They're parts of entire expressions that you can effortlessly incorporate into your everyday speech. This mental library becomes a powerful resource, especially when you're in a conversation and need a quick recall of a natural idiomatic expression. Instead of pausing to think about how to say something, you'll have a ready-made response that fits the context perfectly. Reading aloud improves pronunciation and rhythm. Let's not forget one of the best-kept secrets: reading aloud. When you practice reading out loud, you engage both your mind and your vocal cords. This practice helps you to improve pronunciation. By hearing yourself speak, you can compare your pronunciation with native speakers and make adjustments. Develop natural rhythm. English has a unique flow and musicality. Reading aloud allows you to practice intonation, stress, and the natural cadence of the language. Boost confidence. As you get used to hearing your own voice speak English, your overall speaking confidence increases, reducing the anxiety of actual conversations. Pairing reading with an audiobook is another effective technique. Listen to a native speaker while following along in the text. This dual exposure reinforces correct pronunciation and helps you internalize the rhythm of the language. Choosing the right reading materials. Now that you see why reading is so important, let's talk about how to choose the right materials. To maximize your learning, match your level. If you're a beginner, start with simple graded readers, children's books, or comics. For intermediate learners, try articles, short stories, or simplified novels. Advanced learners can challenge themselves with authentic texts like newspapers and literary works. Select topics you love. Reading should be enjoyable. Pick subjects that genuinely interest you, whether it's travel, technology, fashion, or cooking. When you're engaged with the content, you're more likely to stick with it. One excellent recommendation I have for you is the book, What I Saw After Losing My Sight. This book is a powerful narrative that combines accessible language with engaging storytelling. It's especially great for English learners because it provides context-rich content that makes new vocabulary and grammatical structures easier to understand. The emotional depth of the story helps reinforce learning as you connect words with real feelings and experiences. I highly encourage you to check it out. Find the link in the description and give it a look. Mix up the medium. Diversify your reading sources. Try ebooks, blogs, magazines, and audiobooks. This variety ensures you're exposed to different writing styles and vocabularies, which enriches your overall learning. Aim for 80%. Comprehension. Choose materials where you can understand at least 80% of the content. The remaining 20% will challenge you and help you learn new words and expressions. But if it's too challenging, you might become discouraged. Incorporating reading into your daily routine. One of the biggest challenges in language learning is finding the time to practice. Here are some practical ways to incorporate reading into your daily life. Set realistic goals. Establish daily or weekly reading goals, like 10 pages a day or one short article every morning. Small, consistent practice sessions add up over time. Create a reading ritual. Pair reading with a daily activity you already enjoy. 4. Keep a reading journal. Write down new words, expressions, or interesting phrases you encounter. Reviewing your journal regularly will reinforce your memory and build your vocabulary. 2. Overcoming common reading challenges. Even with all these benefits, many learners struggle with reading in English. Here are some common challenges and strategies to overcome them. Unfamiliar vocabulary. Context clues. Try to infer the meaning of new words from the context before reaching for the dictionary. Selective lookup. Instead of stopping at every unfamiliar word, note down the key ones and look them up later. Preferably use English dictionaries to help you think in English. Lack of time or motivation. Engaging materials. Choose content that genuinely interests you. If a topic bores you, it's hard to stay motivated. Short sessions. Start with short, focused reading sessions, 5-10 minutes, and gradually increase the duration as your habit builds. Difficulty with long text, chunk it up. Break down texts into smaller sections. Read one paragraph at a time and summarize it in your own words. Read aloud and annotate. Reading aloud can improve understanding and help you retain information. Making brief notes while reading also reinforces key points. These strategies are simple yet effective ways to transform reading from a daunting task into an enjoyable and highly productive habit. How reading transforms your language. Learning. Now you can see that reading is not a passive activity. It actively changes the way you learn and use English. Here's a quick recap of how reading transforms your language skills. Vocabulary expansion. You naturally build a mental library of words and expressions. Grammar and structure. You internalize. Correct sentence formations without the need for endless grammar drills. Improved comprehension. Your brain learns to process complex ideas and cultural nuances. Enhanced writing and speaking. Exposure to natural language and context makes your own expression smoother and more accurate. Cultural insight. Reading gives you a window into the cultures of English-speaking countries, broadening your understanding of various societal norms and values. Fluency and confidence. As you become more familiar with English through reading, your overall fluency improves. Your brain starts thinking in English, reducing hesitation and boosting your confidence. When you integrate regular reading into your language routine, every page you turn is a step toward greater fluency and deeper cultural understanding. In closing, let me emphasize this. Reading is one of the most powerful tools at your disposal for learning English. It is much more than just a way to kill time. It's a transformative habit that enhances every aspect of your language ability. Remember that progress comes gradually. Even if you start with just a few minutes a day, consistency is what ultimately leads to success. Think of reading as a gateway, a portal that not only fills you with knowledge but also trains your brain to think and process English naturally. Every article, every story, and every page you read builds a foundation that supports your speaking, writing, and listening skills. I challenge you today to set aside a little time every day for reading in English. Choose materials that interest you, practice reading aloud, and don't worry about understanding every single word. Let the context guide you and enjoy the process of discovery. And that's a wrap for today's episode. I hope you found plenty of insights and practical tips to make reading a core part of your language journey. Remember, every book, every article, and every story you read brings you one step closer to fluency. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. I'd love to hear what you're reading right now or any reading strategies that have worked for you. Drop a comment below. Thank you so much for listening to Everyday English. I'm reminding you that learning English is not just about speaking. It's about embracing every opportunity to immerse yourself in the language. Keep reading, keep learning, and I'll see you next time. Happy reading, everyone.